Welcome back, dear viewers. We're glad you visit our fest. Our event is charitable and aimed to raise funds for medical supplies for Ukraine. We need your support because our next goal of $5,000 is a chance to order an evac vehicle for our heroes. You can send a donation via Donatella, PayPal, or the charitable organization Ray of Hope. All the links you can find below. My name is Ratibor GM, and I am Ukrainian YouTube reviewer of RPGs. You of course know who our next guest is, but let me introduce him correctly. He is the founder of a publishing company that gave us a chance to travel to planes of Hyborian age, explore deep space with team of Federation vessel, survive on lands of retrofuturistic wasteland, and even try to control production of the most valuable substance in the universe of thousand-year-old Imperium. Let me introduce you one of the founders of Modiphius Entertainment, Chris Birch. Hi, Chris.
Hey everyone, how are you?
Fine, thanks. And you?
I'm very good. I just got back from a 20-hour flight from Gamma, which is a big tabletop industry conference.
Oh,
So it was a long
oh,
trip.
that's nice. First of all, I want to thank you for your support because, as I know, your company was one of the first that started to help refugees and our warriors and defenders. And Roll and versus Evil initiative was really something spectacular for us. Let me ask you, how exactly did the idea come to support our people this way, and how it was organized?
Well, I've had the idea for some time, Role versus Evil, and originally I'm quite passionate about human trafficking is a very big problem across the world. A friend of mine is involved in A21, which is a anti-slavery charity, and we've been involved in Vision Rescue, which is a charity working with children in the slums in Mumbai, trying to help them to stop becoming part of the trafficking chain. And when the war broke out in Ukraine, I realized we had to step in and do something because we knew that there was a very big humanitarian crisis unfolding. And so I was at Gamma. So it's a year ago this week that we launched Role versus Evil. And I went round, it was a great opportunity. I went to all the companies on their stands and said, hey, we're going to do this. Will you support us? Will you do something? And so that's how it was born. And we were very lucky that a friend of mine, Paul Wedgwood, who has built a lot of video games companies, said he would match every dollar we raised, which really meant we could have quite a big impact. And we set about finding lots of groups doing stuff at the front lines, whether it was getting medical supplies to the right people, whether it was helping evacuate old people, maybe with their pets because no one else would take them. We managed to help fund the Ukrainian football team luxury coach to go to Kharkiv to rescue a lot of people with disabilities and animals. Excuse me. We were able to fund a hotel as a refuge for women and children in Poland to help them find somewhere to go or figure out what to do next. And over the year, we've been working with people just to play some games, throw some dollars on the table if you want to re-roll the dice. And lots of people have been playing games over the year to support us.
Yeah, even a few games I saw via Twitch, watching how Ertl Sorian played, how people played other games, and even Modiphius games.
Yes, that's right. It wasn't about our games. It was really about play anything. You could play backgammon or chess or Monopoly if you wanted to. But just, whatever you do, play a game and raise some money. And we've been doing it constantly in the background and doing the odd kind of big promotion. And so far we've raised over $100,000, which has been incredible. And we've got another partner involved now. It's helping to co-fund a truck for one of the medics on the front line in the Bakhmut area who lost her car to an artillery strike. And we just sent, again with the same partner, 7 generators out to a number of frontline cities to help with hospitals and places. So yeah, it's been it's been amazing what we've been able to achieve. I heard a great story the other day because we sent about 80,000 foot warmers over, and in about 4 waves. And of course, during the really cold months, people were using those to stay warm. And a bunch ended up with a platoon of Ukrainian soldiers who were caught behind enemy lines, and they had to lay low under some wreckage. And they said they had a pile of these foot warmers with them, and they were just putting them all over their body. And they said it was the only thing that kept them alive for 2 days whilst they had to hide.
Yeah.
So when you hear stories like this, and these foot warmers, they cost like maybe 50 cents,
Yeah,
each.
of course.
For us when we buy them in bulk. And it's just the fact that just a few dollars can have such an incredible impact on people's lives is there's thousands of people helping. I mean, it's amazing that we can do our bit, but we try and do stuff that's very we know we can have an impact that week. It's not like maybe in a month or 2 this money will get to the right people, but we want to know that we did this week and that we help people this week, or next week, so
Yeah.
we keep trying to do stuff that's very immediate results.
Well, and as you said, publishers joined initiative Role versus Evil, but maybe you have an answer for the question. Do you know why not all of the big publishers are ready to support Ukraine?
Well, I think a lot of people are, and they don't necessarily shout about it. I think you'd be surprised how many people actually are doing things. A lot of companies have their own charities that they donate to.
Yeah, of course. Maybe some companies that are not joined Role versus Evil, but who run in charitable for Ukraine, and maybe you can tell us who is it.
Like I said, we had a lot of people support us, but there are hundreds of companies. I mean, I was going around Gamma this year. I was getting videos from people just giving words of encouragement. So we're putting together a video with lots of famous people from the industry who are sending words of encouragement out. And obviously we know that money, resources, medical supplies, food is vital, but I think also sometimes just making sure that people are aware that others know that they're going through this difficult time and that they haven't been forgotten. And so we've got lots of videos. I'll just give you, it's probably you're not going to see it very easily here, but here's, hold on, let's just start. Here we go.
Almost always thinking about what's going on, nothing but immense respect for the bravery, courage, grit, determination. Really hope
one of the guys from Steamforged. We've got the guys from Cellofair, Frosthaven, Michael Webb.
And I just want to say we're really thinking of you, and Slava Ukraini, Heroyam Slava.
That's spectacular.
That's Michael from Paizo. Here we go, the guys from Gloomhaven.
This is Bryce Johnson with Sapphire Fair Games. I'm Ross Boxman. We just want to give a shout out to all our Ukrainian friends. We love you, much support, and fight strong. Alexander, we love you.
There we go. So just, I think we've got probably about 30 of those of just people, just passionate, sending their love and encouragement. So, even just small people, little publishers, doing what they can.
Yeah, that's really spectacular. And do you have any plans for other initiatives like this?
I
Supporting.
mean, yeah, I mean, obviously, our goal is to eventually, well, we all hope that, you know, things will have a peaceful resolution in Ukraine. Our goal is to really turn our fight to human trafficking, and that it's happening in Ukraine, of course. We know some terrible stories of women and children reaching the border and men in high-vis jackets saying, "Hey, I'll take you to Warsaw," and they don't get there. And that's where we've been working with this charity A21 to try and help fund some of their work as well. But that's going on all across the world. You know, it's the second biggest criminal undertaking, and we're really passionate about. I'm a big believer in, you know, if we can identify, especially in human trafficking, you can point at someone and say they are evil, and we're going to take them down.
Yeah.
And our goal is to prove that we can take down evil people and get our community behind us fighting real world evil. So, but at the moment, you know, obviously we can only do so much in a day. We're just completely focused on Ukraine. You know, we know a lot of people there. You know, my wife's from Belarus. We've been involved in, you know, helping with people from, you know, suffering under the Belarusian crackdowns as well. We know a lot of the, you know, there's a lot of Belarusians fighting for Ukraine in regiments there too. And so obviously our heart is very close to Ukraine. So we're just focusing on that right now. There's so much going on in the world. You can get overwhelmed, and I think it's important to just focus on the one thing, you know, that you think you can do something about, because when you see results, that's when it encourages you to do more. And you know, so that's why we really want to show what we can do in Ukraine, and hope that we'll attract more funding, more people. I mean, as a good example, through what we were doing, we got there's a company called Holland and Barrett, which is a big retailer over in the UK. They sell supplements, vitamins, health snack bars, sanitary products. They're that shop that has all the healthy stuff in it, and they've committed £1 million worth of stock.
Oh my.
Yeah, so we've been through some friends, a couple of amazing Ukrainian women in London who've been helping us coordinate a lot of the supplies that are going out to frontline areas. We've been getting them pallets of vitamins and energy bars and stuff to get out to frontline areas where, you know, maybe they're struggling to get a good balanced diet, and you know, might have difficulty getting sanitary products for women, you know, all kinds of things. There was vitamins for pregnant women, for children, for grown-ups. So that's been amazing to see them come through with that support. So I hope over time we can prove more of what we can do and get more bigger companies supporting it. So one of the girls she got the NHS here, the hospital, to give her 3,000 blankets to send out to some of the hospitals at the front lines.
Well, thanks for this real interesting information, because I never tried to search for such details. It's really great news for me and for all our viewers. Let's return to activities of your company in RPG. A few days ago, Modiphius announced a new RPG, an absolutely new universe. For me, it was really a news flash, because as for me, your company is known in my country as company that created games by popular movie or literature series. So there are not too much details. Could you please give us a bit more information about this game and this universe?
Of course. So Modiphius started by creating our own game world, Acton Cthulhu, which is World War II with the Cthulhu mythos. We use the Call of Cthulhu rules and the Savage Worlds rules. And recently we relaunched it with the 2D20 system. And but after we made that, we went straight into making big licensed games. So we were taking other people's worlds and turning them into role-playing games or miniature games. So I've had this idea for maybe about 7 years. I've been working on it with an artist. Yeah, a long time. I've been working on it with an artist, gradually doing kind of development art and ideas and developing the storyline. I teamed up with Amanda Harmon, who's now at Wizards of the Coast. She's one of the leading D&D team. So before she joined them, I was working with her on the storyline, and now we've had a really huge, diverse team of people that have joined me to help bring that world to life. So it's to give you a bit of an idea, it's far in the future. It's on a colony of Earth, a long way away on the other side of a big nebula. It's cut off from Earth because their gateway shut down one day. No one knows why, but the gate back to Earth doesn't work anymore. And they struggled for a while, but the planet is rich in resources and the system is rich in resources. So they were able to rebuild, and their goal was to somehow build ships that could get back to Earth through the nebula, long-range ships, and that was an enormous undertaking. So to do so, they created this AI called the Builder that would help them build a massive infrastructure that would give them wireless power and wireless computing to massively speed up the process of building the infrastructure and the equipment they'd need to reconnect with Earth. What had happened to Earth, they don't know, but they want to find out, and maybe they need to send help. And there's I won't go into it in too much detail, but that builder got corrupted, and it turned its army of mechs against the people. And so they had to bomb their own world into the Dark Ages, nuclear bombs, EMP bombs. There was no way to defeat the machines, so they had to literally destroy their own world. And now it's about 200, 300 years later.
Yeah.
The world has recovered from the bombs. The people have built new communities. You've got groups called the archivists, who are scientists who want to rebuild the old world. You've got the dreamers, who want to avoid science. They were created by scientists at the beginning, so they're like the ultimate preppers who are very advanced without using electronics. They live with nature. We've got the general adhering communities, which are the kind of towns and villages and homesteads. You've got the spears, who are tribal groups that live in the more dangerous areas near the ruins and hunt the machines that come back to life. And somehow, wherever it is, the AI is painfully rebuilding itself. And occasionally, these machines will return to life, and we call them wakers because they've woken up. Yeah. And the people are used to fighting them. And the spears in particular love hunting them. It's a great honor. And then we've got there's lots of other groups, but it's we've had a very diverse group of people help write them to give some real authenticity to them. They're all very much inspired by nations from the southern parts of our world. The reason is there was a limited nuclear war in the northern hemisphere.
Yeah.
And so you've got a much greater emphasis on South America, Southeast Asia, the Middle East, and Africa on the space race and on the colonies. So it gives it just quite a different feel. And so we've got a story really about, it centers around a little girl called Kari. And these machines are overgrown everywhere. You can't avoid them. And there's one in her garden, and one day it wakes up, but it doesn't kill her. And this is the great mystery. And she becomes friends, and it stays with her, and she's painting silly faces on it as a little girl would. And everyone wants to take the machine away and destroy it, but she won't let them. And eventually she runs away. She's only 12. She runs away with machine, and we're going to discover the world through her eyes. And actually the role-playing rule book, if you can imagine, she took our rule book and she wrote all over it, and she pressed flowers in it and drew little pictures of stick men being chased by robots. And she highlighted bits of the rules that she liked and pointed out stuff that she thought was funny. So it's a really uplifting, delightfully feel-good post-apocalyptic sci-fi. Personally, I'm bored of the post-apocalyptic stories that are really about how horrible human beings can be to each other, because I think we've got enough of that in the world at the moment. So I wanted to make a really feel-good sci-fi adventure. There's still lots of danger, lots of threat, but it's got this just feel-good vibe to it that makes you want to play, and it's going to be great for playing with family as well. And we've got a really awesome starter set coming at Gen Con, and this starter set is going on pre-order in June, and you can immediately play it as soon as you open the box. It's got all the characters are based with 3 or 4 cards. The GM is going to give out those cards to let the players pick their characters very easily, and you are immediately going to start playing. There's no reading needs to be done at all. You literally start reading as the games master, and you give players tasks to do. So you can just open the box anywhere and start playing this game. And that's what I've been for a long time, is a role-playing game that you can immediately play.
That's really fantastic news about this. But one more question, if it's not a secret. Will it be more like Dune and we need to use only 5 D20s? Or will it be like Action Cthulhu with a bunch of D6s?
So it's just D20s, this version.
Oh,
and
that's really fantastic news, because I love how your game designers creating a narrative system for 5 D20s.
Yeah, it's and it's an even bigger change to the system. For example, we still have momentum, we still have threat, but you don't buy extra dice with threat for the GM. You now buy them with your spirit. Your spirit is, let's say it's your hit points, right? So you have spirit. When someone damages you, you have to pay off the damage with your spirit. And if you can't, then you're affected by the wound. But if you can pay off some of it, the wound doesn't take place until the end of the scene. But you can buy extra dice with your spirit. So you, as you can see, you have a difficult choice. Do you buy extra dice or wait to cover your wounds? But when you're defeated, you're not dead immediately. You are often, depends on your temperament, which is part of your character, you are maybe despairing. You're like the guy in Aliens who's like, no, we're all going to die. Yeah. And you've kind of lost it, and other people need to help you get up. So part of our system, there's no XP for shooting monsters in this. You get XP for going down, for being defeated and getting up again. You get XP for helping other people get up again. And again, this is part of the feel-good part of this system. It's very driven by helping each other. So we have bonds, we have rivals and allies. So we might be friends, and so when we help each other recover spirit, we get more spirit back. If we're rivals, when you see a rival do something and is successful at their skill test, you gain a spirit. So there's all sorts of fun ways in which you gain spirit. And also,
it's very interesting method to realize the teamwork in the game. That's really something a bit new for me.
There's a lot of teamwork built into the system, but my big belief is we all grow through loss and helping each other. And so the part of that is my big belief is, you know, we all have in this game, we're all going to have a long-term goal. I want to find a farm, a partner, and settle down, have kids. Because everyone wants to do that. I don't know anyone in the world who wants to be a 20th level wizard. I mean, it would be fun, right? But actually, in the real world, at some point, we don't want danger in our lives anymore.
Yeah, that's right.
And so your character has a couple of short-term goals, which will lead to that long-term goal. Maybe you want to be mayor of the town. Maybe you want to be the head of your Spears community. But every time you hit your short-term goal, you get a really big boost of XP. We call XP growth. You grow in our game. So if you hit both short-term goals, then you're about to hit your long-term goal. And the encouragement is that means you retire your character. Now you're unlocking really powerful new archetypes that no one else can choose. So first time someone unlocks, it retires or dies, actually, this all can happen, also happen if you die. But if you retire your character, they get the first pick of several very powerful archetypes. And also you unlock new parts of the world and the storyline. So it's really very interesting time. And that character now becomes Uncle Chris, that you can call upon when you really need it. Maybe you can go and stay with them. They might have some resources for you. You also get to keep one of their really awesome weapons or artifacts, maybe their power armor. And once you can call on their help for a mission. So, but they're done. They want out of, they don't want any more danger. They're going to go and settle down. If you die, you can elect to die in a scene, which means you get awesome extra powers, lots of extra spirit, and it means you're willing to go down to help your friends. And again, that means you unlock this powerful new character next. So again, it's the game is all about, our game believes in growth, and growth can be moving on, is good, and that even in death that we all grow, we all benefit, because the whole group gets, if you have a character dies, then everyone gains this ability, which is kind of remembering that person, that you gain in-game benefits when to do with this person's memory. So there's lots of ways in which, you know, a character moving on is, if it's a real positive thing for the group. So it's, you know, we've really built this intrinsically into the game's design, that growth is a good thing.
That's really a spectacular system. I'm really now interested more to buy it and try it myself. As we all know, Modiphius is more popular that it turns popular movies and literature franchises into RPG. And in the end of last year, we heard and news that license for Conan was not prolonged.
Yeah,
unfortunately. As I think, and as it's possible, when something is ended, something new is beginning. So do you have any plans to create a game for any other popular franchise?
Well, let's see. There's a lot coming, which I can't talk about, unfortunately.
Oh.
But we are doing a new, what we might call Swords and Sandals RPG, which is Cohorts Cthulhu, and that's set in the Roman world in the 2nd century. So that's where you're going to play Roman soldiers, Germanic tribesmen, priests from Greece, Romans, politicians, all kinds of interesting characters who are going to come together on the Germanic frontier and fight evil cults and mythos forces. And we've got it's a big RPG line, huge line of miniatures, because there's already lots of Roman soldiers as miniatures, but we're creating all the heroes and the monsters. And you know, lots of expansions. We're going to be going to Egypt, to the Eastern Empire, and to Britannia, and of course Rome. So it's a huge storyline, lots of action adventure, and it's very similar. It's very close to the Acton Cthulhu 2D20 system. So because it's in the same universe.
Yeah.
and we're going to be building.
As a keeper, I understand this because I once started to read Action Cthulhu when it was just a book of supplement for BRP, not even Savage Worlds. And when news about Cars Cthulhu hit the ground, that really is something fantastic for me, and it's really interesting. Do you have plans to create any more games in this universe, but in another period?
We do, yes. So Cohorts Cthulhu is the second in the same universe, and the universe is called Against the Gods Themselves. It's our big, I guess, Marvel style universe, but we've got a long way to go. So there's more to come. The Cohorts Cthulhu touches more on the ancient Atlantean connections and ancient Atlantean technology. We're also going to be learning about the Hyperborean connection, which is an ancient galaxy-spanning empire, and their technology is so advanced, even you and me would think it's magic. Really, truly incredible. But we're already doing artwork for the next iteration, which is is after World War II, after we lost the war against the Mythos. So in that storyline, we have a campaign coming at some point where we look at the end of World War II and what happens when the Nazis wake the sleeping gods in Antarctica. So this is an alternate end to World War II, and we're looking ahead to a future some 100 years later, long after the war was lost. It's a very dark post-apocalyptic future. And then we've got more to come. So we already have some stories set in Napoleonic times. You can read some of John Houlihan's fiction on our website, which is set during the Peninsular War with Napoleon and Wellington.
That's really great news for all fans of Cthulhu world and Lovecraft literature. And about supplement books, as well know, you writing and publishing a very big quantity of supplement books that always add some interesting mechanics, some interesting new archetypes to games. I myself running right now Dune campaign for new players, Agents of Dune and Masters of Dune, and it's very interesting. Do you have some announcement for few supplements for Dune, for Fallout?
Well, we have. There's a lot of stuff we unveiled at Gamma. So there was quite a lot of kind of big new product lines we've been talking about. I'm just going to bring up our notes. So we had new books announced for June for Acton Cthulhu. Obviously, you might have seen the Lower Decks announcement for Star Trek Adventures.
Yeah, I even saw this.
Yeah. So that's obviously going to be really fun. There's a lot of supporting content for it. You know, it's bringing that kind of comedy world to the lower decks of Star Trek. So I think that's going to be really fun.
Yeah.
We've got obviously Forest of Fear, which is a big campaign for Acton Cthulhu that's available now. That's set in the Ardennes during the Battle of the Bulge. Serpent in the Sands is the kind of North African campaign book coming for Acton Cthulhu, and that's going to be available soon. Obviously, with the Dune movie this year, we have some very big plans, including a starter box for Dune, which will really help for new players. But we just had the Houses of the Landsraad sourcebook out, and we're about to go on pre-order with the Emperor's Court sourcebook called Power and Pawns. So that's going to really add lots of new options for people who want to pull the strings from behind the scenes.
Yeah, and even can add that your Agents of Dune works as I think, the best as a starter pack because it's spectacular.
Yeah. And then Winter of Atom is the big campaign book for the Fallout role-playing game as well.
That will be interesting because I just had plans to ask about what is about Fallout. Because a new adventure, as I know, Little Adventure was published a few days ago.
Yeah, well, this is the big new book that's coming. It should be this summer that you'll be able to get your hands on it. And of course, there's more, but I can't talk about it now, otherwise.
Well, only last question about your plans, if it's possible, if you will be able to answer, and you have right to answer this. Some games do not receive much supplements, as for example Dishonored. Do you have plans to continue creating supplements for this game?
So Dishonored, it's difficult because it's such a sort of confined small world. And we do tend to, we put that out. We put out the GM screen with some extra content in it as well, and we tend to look at the sales and see if there is a demand. And it's one of the smaller product lines, and sometimes I think it's enough. And if there was a huge demand, we probably would.
I can understand, because when you watch some movies or playing some games, you see that this is the jewel and nothing should be added, and enough is enough. And when something next is created, you think, oh my God, what are they doing?
That's right. And also, it's a Bethesda game. And so we're also doing the Fallout role-playing game and the miniatures game and the Skyrim games with them. And they can only do so much approvals. And so we think, well, would that time be better spent for another Dishonored book or a Fallout role-playing book? And we know the Fallout role-playing book will sell much better. So we obviously have to think about their time. They can't approve every single and read every book that we write. We have to think, what would be the most important thing to add to this game that is worth asking them to spend time looking at. So we have to make kind of judgments about what makes sense commercially, what do we really need for the game line, what would be cool. It's what is cool, what can we afford to do, and what do the fans want.
Yeah, I understand. Very good. So if you don't mind, let me move to questions from viewers. Alex, can you give me some questions?
No worries.
Well, maybe I ask the last question. As you said, that creating of new books for Fallout and other products of Bethesda depends absolutely on Bethesda. So maybe you can tell us, do you have plans to create Skyrim or Elder Scrolls RPG?
We'd love to. It's just such a huge amount of work that, and they're quite a small team, and they're very, very busy. Part of the problem, I think people don't realize, is a video games company is very busy making video games, which is what they're very, and they're enormous budgets. And if we need, whoever has to read this and approve it is probably one of the senior people on the video game. And as we all know, role-playing games aren't small. They're 300 pages and
at least
enormous amounts of reading. And sometimes they just don't have the time, as much as we think it would be cool. Some companies have more bigger teams, or maybe they're in between projects, which is why they have more time. Other companies, Bethesda have got so many big games, obviously Starfield coming and so on. So we have to work around their capacity. and at the moment that's not there. Who knows? Maybe it will change in the
Yeah, I
future.
understand.
Yeah.
Well, Alex, still no questions, right? Okay. Well, thank you for your time. Thank you for support of our people, and we'll be glad to see you again at the next fests that we'll organize.
Of course, we're happy to be there. Rita, my wife, sends her love to everyone who's from Belarus, and said to say hello to everyone as well. She said sorry she couldn't be here.
Thank you. And for our viewers, please stay on stream because in a few minutes an epic livestream game will begin, the final battle for the stronghold, with our guest, talented role players and TTRPG influencers, and one of the most famous Ukrainian DM. Bye.
Bye-bye.